You've probably heard in the news that Donald Trump says Greenland should be given to us,
We need Greenland for national security purposes.
or that Canada should become the 51st state of America, or that we want the Panama Canal. We built it ourselves, gave it to you at some point, and now we want it back. Or why should the Gulf of Mexico be called the Gulf of Mexico? It should be the Gulf of America.
Changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers.
Stay with us as we explore why these statements have emerged and where these discussions are headed. First, we need to see where the roots of Donald Trump's statements come from. We start with Greenland. The United States has wanted Greenland for years, and the first time was in 1867, more than 160 years ago, when the US purchased Alaska from Russia and asked Denmark to sell Greenland to them, but the Danes said no. In 1946, US President Harry Truman offered Denmark $100 million in gold to give Greenland to the US. America wanted this region as a strategic advantage in the Cold War, which had just begun. But Denmark, despite allowing the US to use Greenland, said that the price America was offering was insulting. What do you mean we'll give you $100 million in gold? How much per square meter? How much per kilometer? Your offer is way too low. In 2019, during his first term as president, Donald Trump revived this old story and once again said, "Sell us Greenland." Denmark no longer argues about the price or whether the offer is too low. Now they simply say no. This time, even before entering the White House, Donald Trump has brought up the issue of Greenland, Canada, and Panama in the news, making headlines. After these statements, Denmark's foreign minister announced, "We are very eager to cooperate with the new US government on Greenland, but this island is not for sale." In other words, Denmark told the US, "You can use it, but you can't buy it." Just a few days ago, Donald Trump declared that if Denmark tries to stand in America's way and refuses to give up Greenland, the US will impose heavy tariffs on Denmark. Denmark is one of the exporters of milk and dairy products to the US. They also export some flour. If America imposes tariffs on these products, Denmark will suffer significant losses and won't benefit anymore. After these statements, Donald Trump's eldest son, Donald Trump Jr., took a one-day trip to Greenland, which caught the attention of journalists, but he stated, "I just wanted to see Greenland. This was not a political trip at all." So what do the people of Greenland think? Do they want to stay with Denmark, or would they rather become a part of America? Greenland doesn't have a large population, about 57,000 people, most of whom live in the capital Nuuk. The people of Greenland have wanted independence for years, but they wouldn't mind becoming part of the United States. They know that if Greenland falls into America's hands, there will be massive investments, jobs will be created, and the economy will become self-sufficient, just like Alaska. So it's a clear win for the US, as the population of Greenland is in favor of joining America. Donald Trump has repeatedly stated that Greenland will become one of the America's states, not just a territory like Puerto Rico or Guam. The reason the US is so eager for Greenland is that it wants to expel China, which has started establishing a presence there, and also because it knows that this is a crucial region, especially for the future. Because they believe the ice is slowly melting and retreating, and the Arctic Sea will become an important region in the future. Especially since Russia controls a large part of the Northern Hemisphere, the US wants to have control over Greenland, Canada, and Alaska to ensure it doesn't fall behind Russia in controlling the Arctic. One more very important thing is that this region, Greenland, Canada, and Alaska, have abundant freshwater resources, and in fact, Canada holds the largest amount of freshwater in the world. For example, look at Niagara Falls. How much fresh water flows there, constantly moving and flowing into the lakes. It keeps flowing, and the last lake is Lake Ontario, which overflows into various rivers and eventually makes its way to the Atlantic Ocean. That's a lot of fresh water. This is the only place where such a resource exists. You might not believe it, but Canada has over 2 million lakes, 99% of which contain fresh water. Canada, as you can see, is a cold and sparsely populated land, but it is the second largest country in the world, and it is rich in various resources, with fresh water being just one of them. Greenland too is a very resource-rich land, containing not only oil, but also diamonds, iron, copper, and many other valuable resources. Donald Trump says that Greenland is of no use to Denmark because not only do they gain no profit from it, but they also spend money on it every year. Denmark spends $700 million of its budget annually on Greenland. Trump argues that this should be the other way around and says the Danes don't know how to manage the region, which is why they're losing money. So we've got a good sense of Greenland and Canada. Now let's move to Panama and see what's going on there. Everyone knows that the Panama Canal was built by the Americans, and they constructed all the equipment for it. For many years, the canal was under American control and it wasn't really Panama's. But in 1970s, the world's politics shifted and the US handed over control of the canal to Panama, saying, "You manage it." Since then, Panama has been in charge for the past 50 years. Nevertheless, Donald Trump said, "We want our canal back and we want to control it ourselves." After this statement, Raul Molina, the president of Panama, said every inch of this canal belongs to Panama and it will remain that way. In response, Trump wrote on his social media platform, Truth Social, "We'll see what happens." Along these statements, Trump has another request. He says, why should it be called the Gulf of Mexico? It should be called the Gulf of America.
Changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers.
The president of Mexico in turn presented an old map of the region showing that the western part of America was once part of Mexico. He said in front of the camera that while Gulf of America sounds nice, the western half of America should historically be called Mexican America. However, many experts say not to take these statements too seriously. For now, the Greenland issue is serious because the US has wanted it for a long time. Canada has a serious stance because many Canadians really want to become one of the US states, and that's America's winning card. If a referendum were really held in Canada asking which country they would prefer to be a part of, which one do you think would win, the US or Canada? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel for more updates.